Today we're going to do a quick little sketch of some aspen trunks. Now, I painted aspens before, but they're from a different angle. You can find that video on my channel. They're more from a front angle, and I wanted to get these from the side and close up. And I'm going to start out with a quick wash. As I move up, I'm going to cool off the greens just a little bit, as the great prophet Aretha Franklin once famously said. And I'm not going to try to paint the background exactly how it is. There's no need to do that. I'm going to treat it very abstractly, with just enough tone in there and suggestion to get my colors and values the way I want it on the trunks themselves. It's always important when you're doing these things, ask yourself, what are you after? And in this case, I'm after those tree trunks, just the light and the shadow of them and the tone. So everything else basically should just serve that purpose. There are some darks up there. I'm going to hopefully my paper towel isn't in the way. And right now the paint is very thin, so that it can be easy to work into. By the way, if you're new to my channel, if you could do me a favor and subscribe, that encourages me to keep making these videos. Hopefully you'll find them useful. Also, hit the like button if you like this video. If you don't like it, then don't hit the like button. So I'm just making a mess here right now. I'm just concerned about the color. Not concerned about showing anything in particular. You shouldn't be able to identify anything at this point, like, ooh, I can see that blade of grass there. I can see I'm gonna have to replenish a few of my colors. speaking of colors, while I still have some left on my palette, I have titanium white, nickel yellow, used to be cadmium yellow light here. I got to replenish that. Cadmium orange, yellow ochre, transparent red oxide, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, cerulean, viridian, chromium green oxide, and Gamlen's Portland gray warm, which is a color I really like using when I'm out plein air painting here in the West. So a lot of times with my videos, with my plein air paintings, I will start with the foreground and save all this background jazz for later. But yeah, I said jazz, so I'm really dating myself there. The post-millennial in his parents' basement is really freaking out now. But anyway, before I paint all this jazz back here, yeah, I'll do some foreground stuff, but it's a little different painting. And that's why it's important to not get yourself hung up on a specific process, and that you do that process, you know, come Hades or high water. Because there are times where different processes are going to work better. Now, I'm going to mess this all up. I love doing this. Talk about making it ambiguous. This is it. So I'm just taking a paper towel, I'm just erasing back into this. It's a little different way of working, but it works pretty well. Just dip my paper towel into a little bit of mineral spirits. Press my finger down on it, run it up. Made that one a little curvy. So I'm not sure if that's the greatest arrangement, but while I will try to make my paintings compositionally interesting if I can, if I'm just doing some note-taking sketching, which is really what this is not to make a grand painting. In fact, I debated if I should even record this, but I thought you guys might find it interesting to see, you know, how it's done at times. And I do this small. I explained that in my other videos. Why I paint small. Also, it makes life interesting when you deal with the you must always paint big hecklers. Dang, I'm getting really smart now. I better get some water. And maybe I'll put another tree right there. There's trees all over back here. I think that's probably pretty good. Something that's interesting, not sure if you can see this or not. See that glare right there? It's actually from my palette knife, picking up the sun and bouncing it back on. I've done entire paintings, almost entire paintings, without realizing where that annoying glare was coming from. So just word to the wise, if you ever have that happening, you know, some annoying glare might just be coming from your own tools. A nice thing about these aspens, they have some nice dark colors on them. Those dark spots where the where branches, I guess, were there and broke off. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but either way, sorry, just had another fly on me. The flies are just atrocious here. So those spots represent my darkest darks in this painting. So I'm going to get those in first to gauge my other values off of. Always paint first what you know before you paint what you don't know. Use what you're certain of to help you determine the ambiguities. And don't be afraid to change up these spots too. These spots could be anywhere. And the last thing you want to do is make them all the same space, the same size, the same shape. That just would look really bad. So change it up a bit. Make things uneven. It's going to look more interesting that way. You can see I'm giving this tree a little bit of a bend here. And actually looking at other trees as well, this whole area is just filled with aspens. And so I can borrow other trees and the patterns they have and the shapes they have to shape and pattern my trees. It is incredibly dry up here in these mountains. I've been drinking water like crazy and I just can't seem to get enough. I only brought so much with me, but I do have a water filter. So I'm gonna probably have to find some. Get close to that nice, cool mountain stream and filter some of that water. if you're new to my channel, I can't remember if I said this or not. If I have, I apologize. But if you're new to my channel, or if you haven't done so yet, if you could subscribe. That would be awesome. Helps me to keep making these videos. Whatever the heck is coming is really big sounding. Big RV. That was a big one. That wasn't huge, but sounded big. The thing was just clunking around like crazy. One of the big reasons why I'm doing this study of these close-ups is I'm parked by this driveway, and there's this home or cabin or something like that at the end of the driveway. I'm on the public road, but they had just slightly down their driveway some really cool looking aspens up in their yard, and I don't know if anyone's home or not. It doesn't look like anyone's home, but there is a vehicle there. Normally I would stop and ask, but I have a feeling nobody's home, because a lot of times when I'm out there painting like this for this, you know, when I'm getting set up and everything, somebody usually comes by at this point. I've been hanging around this area for a while today, so I have a feeling that nobody's home, but I also didn't want to stand in their driveway and paint, because I don't have permission, and I'd rather not get shot or something like that too. I've known plenty of artists who have had guns pulled on them. So pretty rare. I've never had that happen, and this is only one person, so if you're, I wouldn't be afraid to do that. But the guy was in somebody's field, and apparently heard a gun cocked behind him, and heard the person say, "Get off my land." But anyway, I did walk down their driveway just a little bit. Please don't call the police on me. By the time they show up, I'll be long gone anyway. But I walked down their driveway just a little bit, and I just snapped a few photos of those aspens. And now what I'm doing is I'm painting some aspens that are right by them, but that I can see from the public road, and that are at the same angle and everything, so that I can use this coloration that I'm capturing in conjunction with the photo I took that has the composition. And back in the studio, I can compose something and have reasonably accurate colors and values because of this painting right here. So just a little trick, if you are ever in that situation, you want to paint something, but you can't get to it for whatever reason. It's on private property, you can't get on the property, whatever. If there's something very close to it that's the same thing, or very, very close to it, then just paint that. when I plein air paint, if I'm on private property, I almost always try to get permission. Now, if the property is like very abandoned and there's nobody around, doesn't look like anyone's going to give a rip, then I might take the liberty. We're talking like an abandoned house where the lawn is about 2 feet high and the windows are all busted out, you know, things like that where it's obvious that nobody gives a rip anymore. I might take a chance and go on that property, but I don't officially recommend it. So don't do it and come back and get mad at me if you get in trouble, because please don't come to this channel for legal advice, period, or vocabulary advice. Now, there's tons of colors in these aspen trunks, which is why I wanted to do this study. It's just there's ambient light that bounces all over the place in these trunks, or in these wooded areas. And that's why I like to do these studies, because without them, it's kind of hard to make it up, even with a decent photograph. Okay, I'm using a rosemary imitation badger hairbrush. I'm going to get in the white parts of these trunks now, where the sunlight's hitting them. And this is just titanium white with a touch of yellow ochre. You don't ever really want to use white, pure white on your painting. There's a time or two where you can get away with it with an accent, a highlight. But boy, you really got to know what you're doing to do that. As we go a little further down the trunk, the value to me gets a little darker. So I'm using the Gamblin's Portland Gray. Just to kind of tone that down. And now I'm going to use even more the Portland Gray for this transition area. It's a very subtle transition area from the white to the core of the shadow. The core of the shadow is this little tiny dark part right there that's not picking up any of the sunlight, nor is it picking up the blue skylight, which kind of illuminates the shadow side, or the ambient light from the ground, from the grasses. I'm going to go back in and strengthen that core area just a little bit. There's some warmer, almost leaning toward yellow ambient light. Bounces off the grasses and picks back up on this shadow side, especially in areas where it points down. And that's just the light bouncing off the grass. A little bit of streak light coming down there. It's a lot more subdued. It's a dappled light coming in. And see, capturing things like that is totally why I plein air paint. I never would have got that from the camera, ever. Plein air painting is a challenge to learn. You have to paint miles and miles of canvas to get it down. As the great artist Catherine Statz said. But boy, once you get it down, it is so worth it. It just opens up a treasure trove of information that you can capture that you would not have been able to capture before. And it's just so much fun to do too. even when you're completely dehydrated like I am and dying of thirst, it's just beautiful being out here. They might find me dead later on the side of this road from dehydration, but hey, got a good painting in the meantime, so. And there's just something too about it. Capturing these scenes, these sketches will mean more to you than when you do these sketches and you get some good ones. They will mean more to you than any finished painting, just because you were there, and it'll just bring back memories for you. Even if the sketch doesn't turn out good, it's still going to just bring back a lot of memories. I wanted to say, if you wanted to support my channel even more and my bad sense of humor, that probably loses me 1 subscriber a week. Just kidding, maybe, maybe not, but I have a Patreon account set up. There's a link below. So if you're interested, if you'd like to support me and my bad sense of humor, click on the link below. Also, if you go to my YouTube channel, I do have another video on painting aspens in a woodland interior. It's actually from fall out in Wyoming. So you can go check that out too. Those were in an overcast setting. This is in sunlight. That person kicked up a lot of dust. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with the trunks. Not saying they're done yet, but they might be done. I just intend this to be a short, quick sketch. Sometimes I go a lot deeper into it, but there's so much here I want to paint before I head back, and it's pretty much a perfect day. There is barely a cloud in the sky, and I want to get some more done, but there are some background adjustments I want to make now, or I should say ground adjustments, like the grass and everything. Now, the rules of aerial perspective are that you want your strongest yellows and greens in the foreground. So warmest, most yellow greens, and especially yellow that leans more toward orange or red. That's the kind you want here in the foreground. You get some really dark greens right in here by these trunks, because they're casting a fairly dark shadow. Okay, the highlights that are up here, gonna make those just a little bit cooler. Than the highlights that were down here. So we're just doing less yellow and more Viridian will work. And even some titanium white. Doesn't mean there's no yellow in there or no green in there. Now some of these shadows that I painted at the beginning are pretty much gone. The sun just is constantly moving and changing things, but I'm going to leave them in there. And because this is a nice ambiguous background, yeah, I don't have to worry about painting anything real precise. I know I had thought of putting another tree in there, but at this point he's staying out. Okay, I'm not crazy about that right there. Something about that green was bothering me. I'm neutralizing it with the Portland Gray Warm. I think I might have got a little too cool, a little too quickly in this area here. Okay, I had to replenish my battery. And I shifted my canvas around a bit. I got a side-by-side, and I got dust going everywhere. I suppose those are handy for outrunning grizzly bears. Plus the grizzly bear will probably hear you coming a mile away and not even want to come around you. If you're interested, I teach live online painting classes through Zoom. And I'm very nice to my students. We meet on Saturdays and we go through a painting from start to finish, step by step. I show you the whole process. We don't paint nearly this fast because we don't have to. I have to paint like a mad dog out here. But all the sessions are recorded, so if you miss a session, no sweat. You can watch it later, or you can just watch it again and pick up what you might have missed. We go at a nice slow pace, but you can still miss stuff even at a nice slow pace. And we spend 4 weeks working on a painting. Excuse me. Also, we have a Q&A and critique session. And once you become a member, those are recorded too, by the way, but once you become a member, you get access to all the past sessions too, the recordings of the past sessions. I demo the painting on my own, just like I'm doing here, but with a lot more commentary. And then we do the painting together in the studio. So if you'd like to take your painting to the next level, check it out. There's a link below. You can sign up on the waiting list. And we take all levels. Just make sure you're serious and you really want to learn. Painting is not magic. You don't just get better by taking a workshop. You get better by applying the principles you learn in the workshops, and I will give you those for sure. And it's first come, first serve. When the doors open, I let you know on a monthly basis when you're on the list, on the waiting list, when the doors are open. If there's a spot, that is. And then you can join and become a member. So now I'm just having fun, just kind of making abstract shapes to give this a little more interest. I like using the palette knife for that. It's kind of where I say the heck with reality and just try to make an interesting looking painting. And a palette knife is a great tool for that. But I hope you have enjoyed watching this. Like I said, if you have, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so, subscribe. Okay, I think we're going to call that a sketch. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.